Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna dive into Andy. We're gonna dive into this one.
Andy Nowicki, altrightnovelist.com.
Okay, so he's an alt right novelist. I wonder why he has problem with getting a relationship. I wonder. I wonder. And see, this is the shit that I'm talking about, man. These motherfuckers preach fucking hate. Say about anything about the derision that we give people like him. Say anything that you want to say about like some of the shit that we just talk about people like this guy. But this whole thing about you know it just makes no fucking sense. But let's continue.
Prior video I recorded featured me looking at this graph from an OkCupid study where they compared men finding women attractive and women finding men attractive, and the vast gulf that exists between those two, and how how incredibly much more critical women are of men.
Yeah, women are more critical than men when it comes to attractability. And it's not from what you would actually really say, because it's literally a lot of times women actually see a lot of these guys and have issues with them because they fucking it's not even about the way they look. That's the thing. That's the sad part about it. It's not about how they look. It's about what they say. And even if it's about how they look, damn, like I get on women. I get on women. I get women. Like I don't get what a lot of these guys complain about, because it is literally a lot of it your attitude. Like for real, a lot of it is really their attitude. But let's continue. Fuck you. Really? But let's continue.
Appearance-wise than men are of women, appearance-wise. And I discussed how that study aligned with other studies and general notes, general ideas of where things are at right now in the culture. And I ended up concluding fairly simply, although I'm sure it's not, it's not necessarily the simplest explanation, or it's not necessarily as simple as I presented it in that video. There's probably some other factors, but I said, if you want to understand why there are incels, why incels are a thing, why they've become this topic of conversation, even when they're only being derided or scapegoated, just look at this survey and ask yourself, I mean, if it's true that in this OkCupid survey, if this corresponds to reality, I mean, maybe you could say, well, this is just one study. Yeah, it's one study, but it seems to...
Yeah, dude, it's a study. Let's get some meta studies. Let's actually do that. And if we're just talking about attraction, not issues where it is literally about you know, relationship status, then we can have a fucking conversation. But a lot of it is just about relationships. It's not about attractions. It's about, like, literally, if it was women find this person attractive so he feels good. No, it's about relationships. And maybe that has something to do with your fucking personality. But let's continue.
As I said, seems to fit generally with the way things are right now. And it does seem to fit again with the notion of hypergamy generally being out of control with women.
Would you stop with this hypergamy bullshit? Like, for real. Maybe the reason why you don't have a fucking woman is because of the fact that you disrespect their choice of actually being with you by saying they're in some fucking groupthink. And that's the fucking reason why they don't like you. Maybe if you actually treat them as people and maybe you ask them why they don't fucking like you, then maybe you'll get an answer to what's going on with your life. But let's continue.
Only shooting for the very top and seeing men as who aren't at the very top of the totem pole, the very, very high status men, as essentially being not worth their time, not worth their effort. So maybe it's not quite as bad. Maybe it's not quite as stark as it's presented in this survey. Maybe the 80-20 rule is more like a, I don't know, 65-35 rule. I really hope so.
But I don't get it. The fact that again, I don't get where there is such a fucking problem where a lot of these guys feel that, you know, they can't get a woman because of society. What makes you not in the top 20? Like, what makes you not in that top 20? What's the problem that you see that makes you not be just, you're getting a poon thrown at you, like, because reasons? But let's continue.
I've got to say that I don't want things to be as bad as these kinds of surveys would indicate, and these kinds of general observations would indicate. I would like it to be otherwise. I'm not rooting for the kind of culture where more and more men are simply left out in the cold, rendered invisible. But if that's the case, and if, as you know, as numerous recent studies have shown, fewer young men are having sex, and I mean, you know, I'm a traditionalist, so I think, you know, you should be having sex if you're married, but if you're not,
I'm gonna say this: there has never been a time where there has not been unmarried sex. Sex between people that weren't unmarried. You may have some pockets where it was seen as unacceptable, but there have never been a time where people it was just some anomaly that people were just having sex with, you know, that they weren't married. It just hasn't been a thing. It just isn't a thing where they were just like, oh, we it's just not a thing. Like, I don't get why people actually believe that it was a thing where people were just wholly wholesome and pure for some reason. Like, I just don't. But let's continue.
married, you shouldn't be. I want to make that clear. But putting that aside, no, you know, with the awareness that out of wedlock sexual relations do happen, it does seem to be noteworthy that more young men are not having it. And of course, the solution to all of this is, I think, as I said last time, the recovery of monogamy. And
even when people were monogamous, they were still fucking other people. Like, for real, like, does he really believe this shit? Like, I don't get it. It's just like, and you know, polygamy was a thing too. Like, I don't, like, I hate to, like, spoil the secret, dog. Polygamy was a thing. Humans have actually naturally been polygamous. Well, semi-polygamous, monogamous. And these people that want to return to traditions, they usually aren't the people that would fucking excel in those traditional stances. They're usually the, what's the right word? Losers who actually basically who still couldn't get a relationship like they wanted. They were usually the people who had to serve somebody. I'm sorry, that's what happened, dog. But let's continue.
The enforcement, to quote Jordan Peterson, of monogamic norms.
But we were never monogamous as a species. We just weren't, like, always monogamous. That's the reason why our sexual reproductive organs developed the way they did. It's not for monogamy, it's for semi-monogamy. But let's continue.
But that's not necessarily going to happen. And if it does happen, it's not going to happen overnight. And in the meantime, we've got this nightmare culture developing. We've got more and more men who are just left out in the cold. What's going to happen with these men who are left out in the cold as a greater number of women are simply drawn to the harems of the most popular, most handsome, richest, most successful men? And the ordinary guys, the ones who were, had a reasonable chance of finding a girl to marry in the past, having a good, decent job, being a decent guy.
See, and this is what actually kills me about guys like this. It's not that they believe that, it was just better for society. No, literally, they feel this way because they feel like, oh, if we go back to a way of society where people mostly didn't have a choice in the matter, maybe I'll get ahead. Maybe it'd be beneficial for me. It's not. It was beneficial for society. Society is maybe I get the woman that I deserve because I don't deserve to be alone. And the fact that I'm alone, it's a fucking problem because fucking reasons. But let's continue. Oh shit, I didn't realize that was up there. Well, let's continue.
That was enough one time. Now it's not enough. Now you gotta flex, right? Now you gotta have game. Now you gotta bring something to the table. It's not enough to just be a good guy with a job.
So you actually realize exactly what it's about. Like, literally, he just said it's about flexing. It's about being a good guy. You just can't be a good guy. Like, you have to flex. But let's continue.
Job, who's going to take care of you? No, now you've got to show that you're exciting, and I don't know, you're just you've got to show your stuff. You got to show your skills, like Napoleon Dynamite said. You know, chicks aren't into you if you don't have skills. But where does it go from here? You know, that's the sobering question.
And the thing about fucking Napoleon Dynamite, it's been a while since I've seen the movie. He still had fucking skills. He still like fuck, like these guys really fuck. I don't fucking get these guys. Like, it's like they realize that it's about them actually it's literally about them actually not having to try to get a woman. It's just like, it's about, why should I fucking try? It's literally about why I should have to fucking try. Like, and that's just, it's just sad, man. These are the same people, especially this motherfucker who's a fucking outrider who says, well, no, you should pick yourself up by your bootstraps. In other words, like, it's good for me to have to not try without any stigma. But you should have to try no matter what, because reasons. But let's continue.
Because if it's as bad as it seems to be, it's not going to go anywhere good. We're going to have more incidents. I mean, there will be some men who just opt for MGTOW and are okay with that and just live their lives in freedom and quietness, leaving the notion of romantic relationships behind totally. And it seems that is happening to some degree, but you're still going to have a lot of guys who don't want to be lonely. And it isn't just about sex, it isn't just about scoring, it isn't just about getting laid. I really can't stand how it gets framed that way so often. It's about companionship, it's about the desire for companionship. Because people are happier when they aren't alone in life. It's just a fact. I wish it weren't. You know, because I'm a loner myself. I have a...
Then maybe it's something that you need to actually address. And the fact that, God, I'm a loner too, but at some point I want fucking companionship. And it is really about getting your penis wet. If you don't want if it's not about penis being wet, why would you in the same breath say, well, I need to have somebody? Because it's really about getting your penis wet. Like, for real. Like, stop trying to make it seem more noble than it fucking actually is. It's about getting your penis wet. But let's continue.
A hard time making friends. I'm very selective about who I make friends with. I have a very small number of friends, people who I would call friends. And, you know, I'd like to think that I'm okay with that. And, you know, in a way I am, but I also am aware that the times in my life when I've been the happiest have been the times when I felt, you know, the greatest connection with other people. And you can't just dismiss that, you know.
Then get you a real close guy friend. If it's not about sex, get you a real close guy friend that you can have not an intimate relationship, but a close companionship with. What is not about that is not about, like, I'm gonna be fucking real. Yes, the reason why I will want a woman because I want to have a woman to have sex with. I'm gonna be fucking honest about the shit. And you know what? If it was just about the damn it, if it was just about the intimacy, then you wouldn't be so mad about it. You wouldn't want to return to a place where it's just. You wouldn't want to return to a place where it's. Women didn't have a choice of the man that they want to be with. It would be better than that. But no, it's not about that. It's about filling the inside of a vaginal cavity. But let's continue.
And I say that as someone who has tried to dismiss it, and I do tout, being the stoical life, and I continue to tout being stoical. I think stoicism is a virtue. But it's only going to go so far.
But you don't know what stoicism.
There are only a select group.
Like, dude, you don't know what stoicism is. It isn't just being silent and unemotional. It's being okay with the emotions that you feel when you're in the lowest point. That's what stoicism is. And I'm tired of these people who just misrepresent about what stoic actually is. Shit. One of like my favorite fucking movies is fucking How to Train Your Dragon 2. I fucking love that movie. I have it on fucking Blu-ray. Not Blu-ray, DVD. Have it on DVD. Literally, a guy's name in that movie is Stoic. And you know what he says? When he finds out his wife was captured by a dragon and is living among them trying to protect him. He literally breaks down and says, I'm glad, like, she thinks that he's gonna be mad. It's like, hey, I'm just glad that you're alive. And when Hiccup is talking about how, all right, she's gonna come live with him, he literally says, well, no, that's not it. And you actually see how stoic was. It wasn't this disregard of emotions. It's about living through the fucking tough times. It's about preparing yourself for the fucking tough times that you're unsettled. You're not unsettled by harshness. No matter how harsh it gets, you actually can pick yourself up and keep going. Even through the weeping, even through the hurt, and even through the pain. That's what stoicism is. That's why you can get Seneca actually saying, why weep for parts of life when the whole thing deserves tears? That's why you can have true stoicism where they're saying that it is okay to fucking break down and cry and weep because things are as bad as they can actually get. But while you're crying and weeping, you're still there. You're still standing in there. It's not the absence of emotions. It's living through those emotions, expressing those emotions. I get tired of people talking about stoicism that way. But let's continue.
Group of men who I think have what it takes to just, bear with the notion of being alone forever. And that's not something that is going to sell to the broad swath of young.
Like, dude, God, this is another rant. It was literally being stoic was for anyone. Like, it was literally a phrase where it says no one should have a child if they aren't prepared for that child to actually outlive their child. Like, literally, it was one of those things where it's just like, God, it's this whole disregard that says men can't have emotions. Like, seriously, like, let's continue.
Young men out there. It's certainly not something that sells to my son. I have a son, whom I've talked about before, and he shared with me that he wants to find a girl. He wants to.
Like, you even saying it, that it's not selling to your son who was raised in a different society of this whole thing about needing to be just emotionless monsters. And you wonder why you can't get a relationship with trying to be some emotionless monster that, oh yeah, you want companionship. You fucking are not acting like it. Doctors only heal people that are hurting. If you're saying that you're fine, well then, what do you need a doctor for? But let's continue.
You know, he wants to get married. He wants that for himself. He's a young man, barely having entered puberty and adolescence, but he articulated that to me. And I mean, I don't blame him on the one hand, and it's not that I think, as I've said before, I have a whole series where I give advice to my son if he were interested in advice, about girls. And it's not that he's a good-looking kid, he's charming, he's a nice kid, he's got skills, but I don't know. People out there, young guys like my son, and maybe your son if you're watching this, or maybe you if you're one of the younger people who's watching this. It's a really grim landscape out there right now. Really grim. It's looking really bad. And the men who can't just be stoic, who can't just say, well, that's it, I give up my attachments, I become a knight of infinite resignation, to quote Kierkegaard.
Like,
and I acknowledge, I renounce the flesh. And
you are not allowed to use Kierkegaard either. Like, fuck! Like, no. You're not allowed to use Kierkegaard. You're not allowed to use Stoicism because here's the thing. Kierkegaard was an absurdist. He literally says that, like, God, like, this is not... Oh. Like, I don't get that you actually feel this way. I don't get that you actually want to have it where you have this, you like, I hate to say this, but the whole thing about teaching your son to act just the way you do, it's destroying how men actually lives their lives. And again, Stoicism isn't this emotionless husk of we're gonna actually be, emotionless monsters where, and that goes to that feminization of men. It's just like, come on guys, come on, we can do better than this. But let's continue.
And this is how I live. I mean, I think that's great. I think that's the thing to strive for. But I'm not naive enough to think that that's going to sell, to the broad mainstream of men. And so as a result, there's just going to be a lot of unhappy men who are lonely, men who are extremely depressed, who are extremely frustrated, not just frustrated because they can't get laid, the way that's so often rendered, but frustrated because they're lonely, because nobody's giving them a chance, because they're not, the LeBron James and Brad Pitt of the world. I'm allergic.
He's allergic to those people. Like, for real. You don't have to be Brad Pitt or LeBron James. And that's your fucking problem. You have this whole things of money and status makes you attractive. The only people that actually feel that way really are shallow fucking people. Like, different from Monday Blue that just talks this bullshit. Like, come at me when you actually try to change your personality for the best. Then you can actually have an issue with nobody is actually like me. But if you think that you're fine, anybody, if you think that the reason why you can't get somebody is because the world is after you and you're fine and great just the way you are, then I got fucking a desert in fucking Florida that I can sell you for $1 million. $1 million. But let's continue.
To high status men. So when I said their names, that was what caused me to sneeze just now. So it doesn't seem like, the people, the architects of our current culture were either very blind and short-sighted or very malicious and plotted for unrest. Made a lot of things happen that they knew would cause great unhappiness and unrest. And either way,
what did they do? They made sure that more people can have access to rights and funding and just more, more people can actually buy into the American dream. Is that what they did? And a select few, few of the people that used to not even have power, but they told they were next in line to get power. Well, they couldn't get that power, all of that power like they used to, and now they're pissed? Come on, guy.
It's a crime. They should be hanged, as far as I'm concerned. The things that they've done to the culture, no mercy. No mercy on the people who have made the culture into the hellscape that it is right now.
What is the hellscape that it is? Please inform me. What have they done to make the world a worse place? What have these people done to actually hurt the world and hurt society? Like, really, what have they done? Please. Why should they be hanged, you sorry sack of shit?
They have a lot of blood on their hands, and they will have a lot more blood on their hands. And their own blood should be on our hands, as far as I'm concerned. Not that I'm promoting violence, although I just promoted violence.
So you just promoted violence. I'm done. I'm done, guys. I'm done streaming. Like, that shit just pissed me the fuck off. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this, and my fucking ears sweating. Shit. Anyway, guys, I want to thank everybody who's watched and who spent the time to actually enjoy this 4-hour fucking stream. And you know what? I may do this again tomorrow. So I want to thank everybody who's watched and everybody who followed. Yay, I hit my 50. So enjoy the rest of your evening, guys, and thank you for watching. Please remember, if we all don't stand together, well, those ropes only hold one person at a time. Peace.